right, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, episode two. I got myself Keenan. We got Jared, and today you guys already know a little bit about us. So let's get straight into providing you guys some fitness tips. I will want to start by Angel just sent me a topic on Instagram,
Okay. Nice.
and I want you to react to it.
Okay.
Okay, taking pre-workout caffeine caused 138% more muscle growth than placebo in a new study. What are your thoughts on that? On
And-
pre-workout causing more muscle growth?
But 138% more muscle growth?
138%.
We gotta check the study.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
I think if anything, pre-workout may help you get a few more reps in, give you a little bit more energy for your workout. But I mean, to get over 100%, I think it's minimal benefit, if any. I would say maybe you get 10% if it helps you focus in your workout and makes you train harder. But 138% is very excessive for just pre workout in general.
Yeah, right. It says the caffeine group achieves 17% triceps growth versus 7% in placebo. So I don't know.
Mm,
My thoughts on this are
yeah.
I don't know if this is correlation or causation, but it
Hmm.
says caused. So like they had different groups. So,
Hmm.
but I agree with you. I think caffeine can give you more energy, so potentially you can reach that failure point, and
Hmm.
then getting to that failure point has probably more tension in the muscle that can cause more muscle growth. But who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, one study can't be the end all be all. That doesn't mean
Right.
everyone should be taking caffeine, but I think it provides, you know, just insight. One study
Hmm.
provides insight. Yeah.
And if someone feels like a little sluggish or something like that, they could always try pre workout, do a week of pre workout, do a week of no pre workout, and then decide how do I feel in my workouts? Do I feel better with it? Do I feel better without it? And if it's really no difference, maybe pre workout isn't for you. But if you feel like I'm loving my workouts way more on pre workout, then go with pre workout.
Yeah. Agreed. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
pre-workout?
I've only taken pre workout once in my life. It was with my childhood friend from preschool, Austin. He had the bucked up pre workout.
Yeah.
It was my first time ever taking it. I went over to his house to work out, and then I got the tingles. I was like, "What is this feeling?" What
Yeah,
about you?
I'm not a fan of pre-workout. I mean, I tried, not even the powerful ones, just C-Bum's raw nutrition. I
Yeah,
mean, it tastes great, but it just gives you like those little tingles. It's just not my vibe. Yeah.
yeah.
So
But for
since
everyday people, if they want just like a cheaper alternative, like an espresso shot with
yeah,
salt, kind of gives you the same stimulation as like a pre-workout would.
exactly. Also, like I don't work out, 5 a.m. in the morning, so like I don't really need that energy. If I'm working out
Yeah,
at 4 p.m., I don't want to be taking caffeine or else I won't be able to sleep. But
exactly.
yeah.
And if you have good nutrition throughout the day, that should be plenty of energy to get through your workout.
Yeah. All right, let's shift our focus away from caffeine. But that was great insight
Yeah.
into programming ideas for specific avatars.
Love this.
So I'm gonna have you start. Let's
Okay.
say we have let's say we have a person who works at an office job. They work a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they basically sit for 8 hours each day. How
Hmm.
are how are you programming this, and what would you should suggest if they were your client?
Yeah, so I mean, in our field, we work with a lot of busy professionals. So this is definitely something that should be in your wheelhouse as a personal trainer. How I typically approach it is I think about how long someone's sitting, A, I mean, it all depends on their health level. And if you only see them 2 to 3 times a week for 45 minutes to an hour, this is their power hour to kind of adjust all the negatives of sitting. So I think about rounded shoulders, giving some corrective exercise in the beginning. My favorite's like banded pull aparts. That helps reset the posture a little bit, strengthen those muscles that aren't getting worked. Also, you got to think about tight hips. So exercises with any kind of hip extension is super crucial. And then another thing here is like a lot of people just get stiff. They're in the same motion. So a lot of rotational exercises I focus on. Obviously, if the person's healthy, spine feels good. I really like to focus on rotational exercise. And I see a lot of clients, they just feel a lot better after getting some movement through the spine.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think corrective exercise is important for, any trainer to know. Because when you think about rounded shoulders, right, your chest front delts can be really tight, and
Yeah.
also your upper traps. But then your rhomboids, all the muscles that pull your shoulder back, make a good posture. Those muscles can be underactivated. So you would probably want to do a little bit more rowing movements, a little bit more scapular control. So squeezing the scapulas on any rowing movement. Those will help a lot. And like you mentioned on the hip flexors, right? Because you're seated all day, the front of your thighs can be really tight. So a lot of hip extension movements, like hip thrusts, hip bridges, those are all great exercises for that. One thing that you mentioned that I also love is rotational exercises, like a cable wood chop.
Hmm.
Man, those are amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what would you suggest to, you know, let's say, what would you suggest if they work at an office job in between like their 9 to 5 shift? Like, what would you suggest them to do?
Yeah.
Would you have them go up and walk? How frequently? Uh, would you have them bring a band to work? What would you suggest for that?
Mhm. Oh, a dream client would bring a little band to work.
Yeah,
And if they have like 5, 10 minutes sneaking in some pull aparts, that would be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Typically, they get an hour break at these jobs. You got to go outside, have a meal, and then go for a walk.
Mhm.
Also, getting some better oxygen outside. Some of the cleanest air you could get is just by going outside. So, yeah, just being stuck in there, getting out in nature a little bit, just walking for an hour would be great. And that's going to be crucial after the shift too, to get movement in. You got to get something in because if you're sitting all day, then you go home and then you're laying down and you're only training with a trainer 2 to 3 times a week. There's just so much movement that isn't happening that needs to happen. Like you can't just work at 9 to 5, hire a trainer, see them 2 to 3 times a week, and then just be like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
good now. Like there's you got to do your homework as far as like even doing the banded stuff
Mhm.
at home, getting some mild stretching in instead of laying down per se. And then yeah, I think the easiest entry level thing you could do is just getting your steps in 8 to 10,000
Yeah.
for those busy professionals.
I mean, even if you can't walk, just standing, like standing desks have become super popular since COVID. I one at
Exactly.
home too. If you can get one of those adjustable standing desks, or if you don't, if you're seated, focus on your ergonomics. Is the camera
Mhm.
height at your eye level? When you're
Yeah.
typing, making sure your wrists are 90 degrees, paying attention to the ergonomics can help you in the long term, especially if you're in that position for, 8+ hours. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then another that actually brought an idea too is as far as exercising. Sometimes I even warm them up. I get a band on like I don't know, on some hooks, and then we're curling, doing pronation and supination with the wrists because that helps prevent carpal tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I actually notice they get a lot of elbow pain. Some people that work at a desk, so working on pronation, supination is super good for them as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our second avatar.
Love this.
See, you're gonna like this one. All right, let's say we have a high schooler who,
Ooh,
let's say, okay, I'm gonna make it be extra specific. We have a
yeah,
basketball high school player.
yeah.
He's in his freshman sophomore basketball team, and he wants to make it to varsity, but is clueless on a strength training program that will get him prepared and stronger to get him from the freshman sophomore level to that varsity level? What would you
Mm.
recommend?
So when I think about the difference outside of skill, of course, we're just talking about physicality.
Yes, just physicality.
It, yeah, it's guys are just bigger, faster, stronger. That's
Hmm.
what everyone is at the varsity level. These are grown men that you're playing with now. Guys with beards.
In high
I
school.
remember, yeah, yeah. I remember I graduated eighth grade and I was playing with the varsity team for summer league. It was the first time I saw like I was playing basketball with dudes with beards, and I was like, "That's crazy."
I don't even have one. And I'm 20.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say if you're new to strength training, focusing on those major lifts, you need a baseline of strength. You don't want to just be able to get moved around very easily. And then the speed of the game is a lot faster. So, doing some sprint training, maybe you could speak a little bit on some of the track workouts you do, or also just strengthening a lot of core stability. Because you could get pushed around if you're playing defense. There's a lot of bumping in the game. There's a lot of stopping and going, working on lateral quickness too. How would you approach it?
I think it's just getting strong at easy movements because at that age, what, you're 15 probably? 15,
Yeah.
16, like you probably haven't been training for a long time. So I'm not going to have you do what professional athletes do or college athletes. They're going to be hand cleaning, snatching, and doing all that complex movements. But for a high schooler, when I was in high school, I didn't know how to do any of that. All I knew how to do was squat, bench, deadlift. I mean, it's the easiest to learn. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
with a shorter learning curve on the off season, you can get stronger faster than, let's
Yeah.
say, if we programmed, I don't know, a power clean. That first 2 months is just you learning the movement. You're not getting stronger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So squat, bench, deadlift, just
Yeah.
focus on that. Get, stupidly strong at that if you can, safely, of course.
Yeah.
And for the track workouts and plyometrics, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in between of this because they practice a lot, right? They play a
It's
lot.
true. Mm-hmm.
That's basically just repetitive plyometrics during practice. They're jumping, I don't know,
Yeah.
hundreds of reps every single practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they need extra on top. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What are your
I
thoughts?
mean, my thoughts are yeah, definitely in those off season, focusing on that's your time to build your strength and speed for sure. I am also a believer in like lifting throughout the season.
Hmm.
Maybe during the season when practices are stacking up, you're doing games. Yeah, maybe you're not going to have enough in the tank to do speed work per se.
Hmm.
But if you're going into an off-season program, even like the fall before, adding I think a speed training session once to twice a week could definitely be beneficial as you're transitioning to that higher level.
Yeah, completely agree. I remember when I was a basketball player growing up, we did a lot of sand dunes, so on sand.
Oh yeah, that's super safe too.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason for that is, first of all, you're going uphill, so there's less eccentric stress, right? So you don't
Yeah.
get as sore. And number
Hmm.
two is just hard. It teaches what it means to actually work hard without the additional, injury risk that you might have on a 100% all out sprint, like on
Right.
on the track, right? So I think using different modalities like sand dunes, it makes it fun too. Like
Hmm.
parents can drive the kids to, the beach. It's just a lot more enjoyable than running in the gym, running suicides.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't have
Right.
good memories of suicides. I definitely don't.
Yeah.
But I definitely had good memories of hill sprints and sand dunes. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Or if you don't have access to that, just finding a steep hill and doing
Hmm.
that. What I like to do, I had a trainer, Coach John McCall. He would have us do plyometrics on the hill. So we'd be doing Euro steps, we'd be doing hops, we'd be going up, down, and then sprinting.
Hmm.
He would even put a ladder on the hill too, and then we'd do ladder drills going uphill, and that was a lot of fun because I used to just go to a hill and just be like, all right, I'm just gonna sprint,
Yeah.
but including all that and having like go on a steep part for 10 to 15 feet and doing different movements. You can even do defensive slides to get some lateral movement in. Um, playing around with that helps make it a little bit more fun. And also, it's just so intimidating to go sprint up
Hmm.
a hill.
Right.
So it's a less barrier of entry to do stuff like that, and then maybe close out with some sprints.
Yeah. Just have fun. That's really all it is. I mean, you're at like
Yeah,
the prime age of like growing strength. Like during
yeah,
one off season, you can put on so much mass. It's crazy.
yeah,
But just make
right,
sure you're eating though. So like a lot of protein,
yeah,
right? Don't be afraid of throwing in some junk if you need some extra calories, especially if you're a skinnier dude like I was. But
mm,
yeah, eat
yeah.
your protein, eat that
Get
chicken
your
and
sleep,
rice. Yeah.
get your sleep too.
Yes, get your
Yeah,
sleep, get your recovery too. Yeah, don't be
yeah,
playing Fortnite all day like I was.
right.
All right.
Nice.
All right. We're going to swing to the other side of the pendulum. Let's say we have a healthy 70-year-old who just wants to get active. You know, they're retired, just sitting at home. They don't do much other than clean the house, but they have 2 or 3 sessions where they can meet with a trainer. How would you
Mm,
approach that?
yeah. So with a 70-year-old, I think more so like what are their everyday tasks that they're going to be doing. I have one client who always gets some lower back pain when they vacuum.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just like bending over. So we do like kettlebell deadlifts to help get some stimulus to the lower back a little bit and stuff like that. So I just more so think about what what are their strong points, what are their weak points. A lot of 70-year-olds can't come up overhead as easily. So working on that because they're gonna have to grab stuff out of the cabinets and then, oh, one of my favorite things is single arm farmers carries. And
Yes.
I always tell them it works the grip strength, and then obviously core, and then it's just like you're going to carry a heavy bag of groceries, and when you're that age, you shouldn't have to. Or a goal as a trainer for me is like I don't want them to have to think about, oh, I got a heavy bag of groceries. How am I going to carry this? It shouldn't even be a thought. Your everyday movement, your everyday life should feel easy. You don't shouldn't be something to think about.
Right.
Um, yeah, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just making activities of daily living easier, right?
Hmm.
Sorry, I was searching up a stat. I said fall risk over 70 because I think falls are very significant and something that
Yeah.
should be trained and prevented. So falls are a significant health risk for adults over 70 with a 32 to 42% falling annually. That's just over 70 years
Hmm.
old. So I
Wow.
think, you know, close to 0.5% of 70-year-olds fall annually. I don't know how accurate the stat is, but I mean, it
Yeah.
gives you some kind of perspective. So, like you
Yeah.
said, on those carries, you know, any core stability, even just balance drills, right? Of course, you're going to be behind them supporting just in case anything does happen, but training balance, training stability, preventing that fall risk, it's very important. Um, Even just sit to stands, you know, if you don't have
Hmm.
access to any equipment, let's just say you're at home, you want to get some movement in, sit to stands. It's a very common daily activity of squatting and getting back up that should
Yeah.
be strengthening or strengthened. Um, yeah,
Yeah. You shouldn't have to think about having to sit up out a chair.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, especially, I don't know. I mean, of course, every decade is important for training, but especially when you get to that like retirement age where you start or where you stop having a lot of daily movement, like you don't commute to work anymore. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you can't play the sports on that rec team that you once played at. Now's the
Hmm.
time to really focus on your training. That's where it gets really important because I
Yeah.
feel the fall off can be really quick if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't start working early, it's just in the long run. You see people, or I've seen people that like those who take care of themselves and do weight training are like so functional at 70. They still have, you could tell they still have so much life left. But those who don't take care of themselves and then they come and like, hey, I'm starting at 70, it's definitely like an uphill battle for them.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, speaking to that too, is kind of thinking of people that are aging, doing a lot of exercises that help improve bone mass is huge. So more closed chain exercises, compressing the joints, because those bones start to dwindle over time. So just doing everything you can to not only maintain your muscle but maintain the health of your bones.
Hmm. One thing I've been looking into, speaking of that bone health, is, impact. I feel like a lot of people, especially when you get older, you're afraid of impact. Like you don't want to start jumping, you don't want to do those single leg stuff. But I think that's where it
Mhm.
gets really important. For example, like my uncle, he's not like old, he's like in his 50s, but he's he's cycling a lot, right? So
Uh,
that's not a lot of impact. You're getting strong, right? You're getting that endurance, but you're not getting that ground contact. And
mm-hmm.
I do believe that ground contact is important for improving your bone health.
Mm-hmm.
So I also think that's why BFT programs jump rope, even though it seems like
Mm-hmm.
a weird exercise program in a group fitness class, is sometimes seems useless, but
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes the BFT, like the rower, the ski erg, even sometimes
Right.
the S drive, there's not a lot of ground impact, maybe except for box
Mhm.
jumps. But that repetitive jump roping, single
Yeah.
leg, sometimes we do double skipping. That jumping, it's like plyometrics, will help with bone density. And
Totally.
that, I don't think that can be skipped, especially when you get older.
Yeah. Another thing I love that helps compress the joints is like step ups. I think you get the balance of okay, I'm getting some bone density work in, but also like you're gonna have to go upstairs. A lot of elderly start to get nervous to go up and down stairs or feel like they have to really hold on to something or they have to go at an angle because of
Hmm.
different pains. So step ups, even lateral step ups, strengthening out those outer hips is really important too.
Yeah. Glute medius. Work your glute medius. All
Yeah. Yeah.
right. Let's get into another one. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go for this one. Okay. We have a new parent just had a baby and
Mm-hmm.
they only have 15 minutes a day to work out. Let's say
Mm.
this is an online client. So you're programming someone who has 15 minutes a day, let's say 5 days a week to work out. They have a home gym with basic adjustable dumbbells, maybe a bench, and maybe they have a barbell, maybe. Well, how would you program for someone who only has 15 minutes a day?
Mm. I'm almost curious how you would do it.
Yeah, so
What would be your
focus on compound movements. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the answer. That's probably what I would focus on because you don't got time to even do some like lateral raises, some forearm work, or like calves or anything. Just focus on the big movers. If you got 15 minutes a day, you can easily squeeze in, two or three compound movements. Let's say you have a push day. All you need is really a horizontal push. So some kind of dumbbell or barbell bench press, maybe an incline press, and then some kind of vertical pushing. So like an overhead press. And if you really want to add some size to those shoulders, do some lateral raises at the end. You know, 5 minutes each
Mhm.
exercise, right? You can easily get 2 or 3 sets in.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and especially for mothers and women as they age, that compression of the joints is super important. So, yeah, doing anything that loads the wrists, loads the legs.
mhm.
Um, and the reason why Keenan likes compound movements is because they recruit multiple muscle groups, and that you just get better bang for your buck to
Exactly.
get, yeah, and you get more of a better baseline strength. Those need to be kind of the lead in most programs, and then you do accessory moves.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
especially true if you only have 15 minutes.
Wow.
I think supersets are also really important, like um, opposing muscles. So if you're going to do a push movement, you really don't have to rest after that. You go straight into a pulling movement. So if I'm doing
Yeah.
a dumbbell bench right after I finish my set, I'm going to knock out a set of pull-ups and then go back to the bench. Very minimal rest, very efficient. In that 15 minutes, you can get a full workout in.
Yeah.
Because these days, I think a lot of workouts are extended longer than they should be.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. If you're spending,
I-
uh, yeah, me personally, like I'm not spending over an hour and a half in the gym. I just think that's way too much.
Right. Yeah. That is way too much, and you're probably not. stimulating the muscle
Right.
effectively or as well as you could.
I mean, you can probably speak on the workout that we've done. We only did like what, two sets together when we worked out together.
Yeah, right.
I mean, after the second set, you're done. If you train close to failure, I mean, I was done. I don't know about you.
I was dying in that workout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like two
I
sets is
also,
really, yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say also, it's I personally would program full body workouts for someone who's
Mm,
really limited on time, just so that way, if you have to skip a day, if you only got a 15-minute window, and you absolutely have to skip a day, at least your last training session, you hit upper and lower. So you got stimulus on both, opposed to just hitting upper day, skipping the leg day, and then trying to play catch up. I like doing full body so that way you get a more well rounded workout in that little window of time.
yeah, totally agree. Don't even have to add to that. Got it all.
Yeah.
Let's get another one, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to do all of these. All right. How would you program and train differently if you want to build strength versus hypertrophy, or in other terms, building muscle?
Mm. So when I first hear that, I kind of think about the extreme ends of these. So if you want to build
Yeah, extreme.
strength, yeah, you want to think more power lifter. If you want to build hypertrophy, think more bodybuilding. So power lifter, they focus on the three main moves: bench, deadlift, and squat. So if you're just trying to build strength, those need to be the lead in your program. For hypertrophy training is more so how do we stimulate muscle. Doesn't really matter the weight that you're moving. I would say strength matters a little bit more as far as the weight that you're moving. So for hypertrophy, how do we get in a loaded position where there's a ton of stimulus on the muscle and it doesn't necessarily have to be heavy, and then just working through that. So I like exercises in more of a stretched position.
Hmm.
I find a lot of stimulus when I add pauses in the most stretched position of movement. I would say that's what really helped me grow. I was just telling someone yesterday who's struggling to grow their chest. I
Hmm.
really loved like dumbbell bench press, pause at the bottom, hold for two, and then exploding up. That's one of my favorite moves. So, how would you approach it?
Yeah. I think rep ranges can be helpful. Like for
Yeah.
strength, you might want
Hmm.
to have lower rep ranges, right? It's going to be a little bit harder to grow a barbell squat if you're only, repping it out in the 15 rep range. It's going to be quite difficult. But if you're building a squat, especially when I trained to my max squat, I was doing a lot of, 3 to 5, just like
Mm,
hammering it, like loading it up as pretty much as heavy as I can in that 3 to 5 rep range. And you get
yeah.
strong.
Right.
But
Right.
hypertrophy, on the other hand, you basically want to make a weight feel as heavy as possible. So
Mm,
like, playing around with angles. So if I'm trying to go my quads on a squat, let's say, I would probably want to load it first of all in a front squat position, so I'm more upright, and I want to try to control the tempo. I think tempo is very important, like controlling the eccentric. So on the way down, when I lower into a squat, I'm probably counting 1, 2, 3 to get that full stretch of that muscle. If I'm training for strength, I'm not doing that. I'm going down and coming back up.
yeah. Right.
I'm not controlling the weight, although it can be a technique to build strength. So they both can go hand in hand together. But if you're
Mhm.
talking about specifics of training for different um, strength versus hypertrophy, those are some tips. Yeah.
How do you usually program sets for strength versus hypertrophy?
Sets, like how many sets I do.
Yeah.
I just keep it simple. I mean, I would just do definitely for strength, I have more warm-up sets, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm using heavier loads. So I'm gonna have at least, it depends on the movement, but at least 2 or 3 warm-up sets before my working sets.
For sure.
Uh, Working sets, I might be doing probably like 3 to 4. And then for hypertrophy, maybe around the same, but I don't need the warm up sets because I'm lifting lighter and with uh, higher reps. How about you?
Yeah, I would say definitely for those strength exercises, you definitely need more sets, working up to that working set. And I would say in general, if you're just in the 3 to 5 rep range, you can do a lot more sets.
Mm,
Yeah, and then for hypertrophy, the only goal is to stimulate muscle. So as soon as you hit muscle stimulation, you don't want to overtrain it. So as soon as you stimulate it, move on to that next muscle group. I've heard someone explain it. Kind of the difference is for strength, it's more about how do you make heavyweight feel as light as possible, where hypertrophy is more about how do you make lightweight feel as heavy as possible.
right. Clip that. Put it down on Instagram. Clip
Yeah,
that.
right.
I love that
Yeah.
saying. I think it's yeah, it's great. Yep. You
Yeah.
got anything else to add for that?
Um, no, no.
Yeah. Do you have another avatar in mind that you
Let me think. Um, how do you just approach an untrained individual? Let's say they're in their 30s to 40s, just relatively healthy, but they've never seen a weight room before. How
Mhm.
do you approach that client as far as a programming perspective? And how do you approach that client as far as like a personal trainer perspective?
Love that? We actually get a lot of that at BFT, both of us, because a
Yeah.
lot of people who walk into our gym, they want a community because they feel intimidated. They don't want to go to a 24 or a crunch because they walk in, they see a bunch of machines that they don't even know what they do. Right. So our gym at BFT kind of just provides guidance. And as a personal trainer, that's the most important job is to provide guidance and a safe space for the client to train. So I think just meeting them where they're at, you're not going to tell them to do some kind of complex movement. You're not going to make them go to an RPE 10 and just keeping it simple. I think just the basic push, pull, squat and hinge are plenty already. And just talking about what goals they want. Do they even want to get, bigger, right? Because a lot of people they don't want to. They just want to feel stronger and healthier. So like knowing their goals and tailoring your program to their goals, I believe is probably the most important than any complex programming, complex exercises. Keep it
Yeah.
simple, meet them where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it's about empowering people because it is very intimidating to go to a big box gym and then see all those machines and then figure out like, okay, what muscle group do I want to hit today? What and there's just like if someone is blind going into the gym, I could only imagine how intimidating that is, especially if you see a bunch of like big strong
Mhm.
people in there lifting like a ton of weight. They're grunting. Like it's like
It's
I
intimidating.
don't
I mean,
it's so scary for sure.
I remember when I first started going to the gym, I signed up for a big box. It's called City Sports in San Francisco. I remember going in
Nice.
there. I was like, what, 15, high schooler, super
Yeah.
scrawny. I was like, I'm just getting my weights. I'm going to the corner of the room. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want anyone to see me. I'm just gonna be doing my bicep curls in the corner. You know, like I know exactly how that feels. And
Wow.
you just gotta. It builds confidence. You will build confidence, but a trainer will definitely provide a little bit more guidance on what to do. And I think for me as a trainer, I like to provide education to especially new gymmers or gym
Yeah.
goers. Gymmers, I just made that word up. Yeah. So if
I
you're if
like
you're a new gymmer, then
it.
I like to provide education because I want them to know why they're doing what they're doing. They're not doing a
Mm,
squat for no reason, you know, or they're not doing an overhead press for no reason. They're gonna understand why they're doing it, and that's through my guidance and what I can teach them. Yeah.
yeah. Like sometimes when I get a new person, I'm like, when was the last time you've done a push up? Or
Mm,
like, we're gonna do push ups today, and then you see their face get like, oh my god, I don't know how to
yeah.
do a push up.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to the Smith machine and then I'll lower it to like, I don't know, chest height or around stomach height. And I'm like, all right, you're going to grab here and just tap the chest and then push away. And then they start doing it. I'm like, you're doing push ups. And then
Exactly.
it definitely
Right.
empowers them.
And that's one of the issues of social media too. It definitely distorted my image of the gym because it's like you see these like jack people lifting heavy, heavy weight
Yeah.
online. And every time you scroll, just another one of them, right? Every time you scroll. So I feel like that's intimidating, especially when I first started. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to be like them. So I started training, going to the gym, but I'm nowhere near them. So I think you just gotta, first of all, you gotta meet yourself where you're at, right? You gotta realize that these guys online are the top 0.0001% of people. You can't be comparing yourself to the top 0.001% person, you know? If you're an entrepreneur, you don't compare yourself to Jeff Bezos. So it's like, gotta meet yourself where you're at too.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I would definitely recommend if you don't want to go straight into personal training, you don't really know what to do, like a group fitness setting,
Hmm.
super acceptable if you want to just like starting new movements. You're still going to be dealing with a lot of fitness professionals that will help you with your form and stuff like that. I think BFT is like a perfect place for someone that's just
Hmm.
starting out, maybe doesn't want to go straight into personal training, but doesn't want the big box feel. I think going to a place that has has compound movements, has testing,
Hmm.
um, has other people that this is fitness isn't their end all be all. They're just trying to get generally healthy. Um, I definitely think a gym like that is super good for people just starting out.
Right. Community too, so important. You know, they keep you accountable. Oftentimes when you first started, you get that burst of motivation to start, but after that first week, it can feel exhausting. But if you see other people around you doing it too, you know, that's going to motivate you to also go to the gym.
You make friends, and then you want to see your friend. You don't just want to go to the gym. You want to go see your friend for a little bit. And then a lot of times, if you're just lifting on your own, you kind of just do the same weight for like a year. And then you're just like, I'm going to the gym, but I'm not really seeing much. And sometimes when you're in that setting and you're with like paired up with someone or paired up with two people, and then you see how heavy they're lifting, and they're like, no, you could do that. Or a coach is like, oh, try a little bit heavier. Like that's when you start to see results.
Hmm. I mean, as a coach too, I just love to do that because you see the eyes light up. You're like, you see them
Yeah.
do a set. Let's say they're doing a squat for, I don't know, 6 reps. You see them do it after they're not even breathing hard. They're just, you know,
Right.
basically like emotionless. They're like, okay, let's try to push some weight. But they're like, I don't think I can. But once they start putting those weights on, their eyes light up, their confidence starts to spark in, and now they're just adding weight, you know, by themselves
Yeah.
without me even instructing them to, or safely. But you know, you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny to see them be like, are you sure I could do that? I'm like,
it
just
happens all the
try.
time. Yeah,
Right.
just try. You're not gonna injure yourself. You'll be fine.
Right. No, it's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Another one.
Let's see. Let's think about maybe a young kid. He's 13. I think usually around like 13 years old, people or they're more comfortable to start lifting weights because there's a myth that it stunts your growth before then.
Do you mind if I share a
Um,
story real quick?
yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah. I mean, I probably should have mentioned this in the first podcast, but like how I actually started lifting, I remember it was a freshman year of high school. So yeah, I was like literally 13. Of
Yeah.
course, too young to go to the gym by myself, but I would go home. My mom had a pair of dumbbells, right? I think
Okay.
she had a 5 pound set and an 8 pound set. And
Yeah.
every day after class, I would go home, pick up those weights. I would have these YouTube videos. I think it's Alien something. I gotta search them
Okay.
up. Gotta find them because they're the plug. They
Yeah.
they had 5 minute arm blaster workouts just with like 5 pound, 8 pound dumbbells, and they'll
Yeah.
destroy your arms. You're basically doing curls for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
So every day after school, I'll just be doing those.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got a pump. You know, this is how it feels to be semi big. So I was like, I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
doing it. So I did that
Yeah.
probably for my entire freshman year, just knocking off those bicep curls for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah. That's
So
hilarious.
my point in that is if you're just starting out and you're young, you're 13, just have fun, you know?
Mhm.
Like I was enjoying that. I looked forward to it. After school, I wanted to grab those dumbbells, pick a new 5 minute workout and just knock out those reps. You know,
Yeah.
you're like you have a lot of energy. After school, you sat all day, you know, kids, we're not meant to sit all day, first of all. So if you have any chance to get moving, just have fun with it.
Right, right. And you'll find a lot more enjoyable fun in working out than either being on social media, playing video games, getting online. Just go get some real dopamine.
Exactly. And let's say you're a parent and you have a teenager who's just gaming all day. I think the best way to advise them to work out, instead of telling them to do it, is you do it yourself. If your kid sees their parent working out, putting the work in, they hear their weights clanking in the garage, they're gonna come down and be curious, right?
Right, right. Yeah, you gotta lead by example for sure. You can't not go to the gym, but tell your son or your daughter, hey, you need to get some activity in if you're not getting any yourself.
Mhm. Exactly. I mean, if my mom didn't work out, those dumbbells wouldn't have been there. Who
Right,
knows
that
what
is
I would be
true.
doing right now, right? I could be a mathematician. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
somehow those dumbbells landed there because my mom worked out, felt inspired, grabbed those dumbbells, did my curls.
All
Now
right.
I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's so much information online. Maybe we
Yes.
could do like a podcast on like our favorite fitness
Yes.
influencers. Because there is a lot of information, but filtering out the misinformation is also
Mhm.
important. But generally speaking, for general fitness, if you're just starting out, there's a ton of free information as far as form goes, as far as like programming goes, and just like for someone just starting out. So since you have access to that, use that value and run with it.
Right. Try not to do too much short form. I mean, there's great information on short form. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I literally do it myself, but don't get too caught up on short form content. Try to watch some YouTube videos that are at least 5-10 minutes long. Podcasts are great. Explains nuance to things. It provides different sides. Sometimes podcasts have debates. One person speaking on a topic might have different opinions than the other person. So learning both sides of the equation will definitely help you kind of filter out what you think is right or wrong, but also just thinking for yourself too. Not everything should be taken seriously. If someone tells you you should only squat in this rep range, you got to find that nuance of when should I squat in this rep range? How do I do it? Who do I follow? Long form is definitely the way to go for that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's close off the pod there.
I think that's great.
Yeah. We went through basically every single avatar we had planned. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot. If you guys have additional questions, drop them down. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a 5-star review. Helps it out a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Also, click that follow button. What is it? YouTube, click that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. We'll try to post one at least once a week, if not every 2 weeks. But we'll get these out.
Right on. Yeah, that was great. Killed it.
Yes, sir. All right.